Hey, and thanks for clicking the link. My name is David Santacroce. I teach at the University of Michigan Clinical Law Program in the Civil Criminal Litigation Clinic. I'm also the president and one of the founders of the Center for the Study of Applied Legal Education. CLIA, one of my favorite organizations, had asked me to tell you a little bit about CSALE and how it's can be a resource for you, both as a new clinician and throughout your career. As it has been for so many others. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to get through this relatively quickly, hopefully. So again, here's the info. If you ever need if you want to contact me, you can Google me and find me easily there. There'll also be plenty of opportunities here to see the website. So CSALE is about facts, right? It was born out of frustration that I personally was experiencing. People, this was in the early 2000s, people were having a lot of arguments about clinical legal experiential education generally, as they have for the last 60 or 70 years. And they were doing so without real facts. People would often kind of say, well, this is the way what happens and this is the way it works. And often do that in a way to serve their argument. And I just, as a litigator, I couldn't tolerate that. So we started the Center for the Study of Applied Legal Education. And we've got a lot of facts, and the facts help. And what do they help with? Well, if you're starting a new, kind of from a clinical pedagogy and design, if you're starting a new course, what does your course look like? How is it taught? How is it graded? How are others doing it? How are clinics structured basically and designed overall? These were all things, decisions made in a vacuum or on very limited information based on other clinics in your building and maybe the practices at your school and a few people you knew. That's not a good way to do things. And also in make policy decisions. We can also tell you a lot about the life of clinicians generally within the academy, status, salary too, other perks, and also overall design and program structure. Here's where you find it all. It's CSALE.org. Right? We've got a whole bunch of stuff, right? And it's super helpful in many ways. The reason why this data is so good is because it's robust. So a good average on an online survey participation rate's about 33%. We had 95% of law schools respond in our most recent 2020 survey, and you can see the years prior. We've been doing this since 2007. We've got data from this last survey from over 900 clinical courses and 335 field placement courses, and from about 1,300 faculty. And that's all done on the goodwill of people in the community putting this data in once every 3 years. And it's gotten easier for us over time because people have seen the payback and the value of the data. It all gets published in a very, very dry report that's available on the website. I'll talk about that in a minute. I just want to show you a few of the things we collect stuff on. So clinical faculty, right? We know that all these things are negotiable to some degree, and we can provide you very granular data on these things, as well as salary, right? Right down to the school level, but we can't, there's certain limitations, and obviously we can't provide salary data in ways that would reveal the people contributing it in any way, or any way could be traced back to them, because then it's not fair and they're not going to want to give us the data anymore. So we have a real heavy emphasis on confidentiality. We know a lot about employment methods in the legal academy as a whole. There has been an increase in the experiential world to more contract and less tenure types employment. We can show you promotion states. So if you've got an interview at School X and you want to know what their promotion and retention standards look like, there's a good chance, a 1 in 3 chance, we're going to have that, right? So you come to this page and you click on that link and you enter a library with, I think we're at about 1/3 of law schools. We have their written promotion state and retention standards. They're divided up here by the different sorts of they are. And then there's a master list of all those, right? We can tell you demographic things about gender, right? And you can see that here, and race and a whole bunch of other things. Let's look at law clinics. And I picked law clinics. We have the similar sets of data on field placement. Law clinics is the section better with. So we can show you trends over time, and this is what this slide is essentially talking about. But we can also have these data points in ways that we can make them accessible. So if you're going to start an immigration clinic and you want to know how other people are teaching and structuring an immigration clinic, you can use these, you can gather all these data points. Same thing on faculty ratios, how we're grading things, how we're managing cases. We know a fair amount about demand for law clinics, and it kind of, you know, went up and then went down after the kind of the legal recession a little bit, and it's kind of flattening out. You know, that's not really designed to my mind about desirability, but this, you know, you can only, demand for anything can only increase so much. But more importantly, if you're interested in how to drive up demand in your particular institution, we can point you to schools and that tell you why they think that demand has gone up, right? We can also, again, this is more on a scholarly tip, but you know, you look at, there was a big growth. Now close to half the students are having some sort of law clinic, live client clinic experience before they graduate, but it's kind of flattened out in the last few years. How do you get and use the data? Well, that's the simplest part. And let me be clear, it's free, right? We don't charge a penny. What we ask you to do is participate in the survey on the back, you know, every 3 years. So you got to request an individualized report, right? So you want to come here, download the survey results, and we'll look at those in a second, figure out what you want. We'll talk about that a second, and then click the contact us link. It's that simple. That just ends up in my inbox, and it's either me or Bob Kuhn from WashU in St. Louis. He's my co-conspirator in all this, and he often answers a lot of these data things. You open up the report, and this is, again, not something you want to read start to end unless you want to go to sleep quickly. What it is a way to kind of, the table of contents is very detailed. It allows you to pinpoint specific data points. You know, so if you follow table of contents here, you see, okay, immigration clinics. I want to know what these 63 immigration clinics, what they teach in the classroom, how they divide up their classroom time. We can add you that. We can help you with that. You also want to identify other additional relevant data points, right? You want to tell us what the issues you want, and you know, if you're looking for how immigration clinics are taught, well, then we can give you that for the entire country. If you want to start getting into kind of leveraging data to leverage the competitive nature of your dean to keep up with the Joneses, essentially, you want to look at rankings, maybe geography or size, public, private. You also want to know what that decision makers, what schools that they want to be more favorably compared to. Those are aspirational schools. That often helps with that competitive leverage. We can, you know, so here's some basic sample results about how a particular type of clinic is taught, how people are employed and what their job is. This came out of a voting rights discussion at a top 25 school. So they wanted to see what all the top 25 schools were doing. We were able to show them that. This is, again, an overall program design one. We can also help, we've also a repository for empirical scholarship. So if you come on the website and click here, you will get a list of, oh God, it's about 150 or so, at least law, needs to be updated, obviously, for the last year, law review articles that are empirical in some sense. There are other places for data. Probably the most prominent one is the ABA. If you go to their stats website, you can come in here and generate reports based out of what the ABA collects. It's not going to be as detailed as ours. It is, and certainly not as granular, and they don't cover a lot of stuff that we do, but it's a good place to be. So that's it. Thanks for listening. I had to put my New York clip to get this in under 10 minutes. I'm happy to answer any questions. Reach out to me at the University of Michigan or through the CSALE website. I wish you all well in the coming months. Take care.